Hi everyone, my name is Cody.
I'm Meghan.
I'm Noelia.
I'm Ada and we are waiting for our another friend who is flying from Cambodia because he's doing our research over there.
So today we are here to take you beyond borders. We actually work for an organization known as UNHCR, and we will actually get into what that organization is in a few moments. But we all came together today to give you some background information on our organization, and we also want to tell you the story of one of our employees, Sarah Beauford, the things that she experienced and the things that she went through during her time of employment with UNHCR. So this is a picture of Sarah Beauford. But before we start, I actually wanted to give everybody handouts. There, class. You can read through them while we are giving our presentation and see some things about our organization. So this is a logo of the UN agency, which is who we work for, UNHCR. So what does UNHCR stand for? Does anybody know? UNHCR stands for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. We work with refugees around the world, which are displaced individuals not living in their country or living in a different part of their country due to fear of persecution, punishment, and death. Our headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland. And our organization appeared not too long after World War II. And this was because we came together to help displaced individuals, displaced Europeans, due to World War II. We were founded on December 14th, 1950, and on the day that we were founded, we were given a 3-year mandate. So that meant that we had 3 years to complete our mission, 3 years to help individuals, and then we were to disband. Well, due to all the crises around the world and in different countries, we never disbanded. We are still an organization to this day. So this is our mission. We are directly concerned with the international protection of refugees. Our overall mission is to provide operational support and coordination to a wide range of private and public actors who work in the interest of refugees. In the 1960s is when we actually started working on the continent of Africa and helping all of the individuals in different African countries that were displaced due to war, persecution, and fear of death as well. And on December 14th, 2010, we actually celebrated our 60th anniversary. So for an organization who had a 3-year mandate and were to disband after 3 years, it's quite crazy that we celebrated our 60th anniversary just over 2 years ago. So this right here is a picture of a refugee camp in Africa. And this is going to be something that Sarah Beauford would have experienced while she was employed with UNHCR. It's tents, shacks, and it's where refugees come together, where we provide them with medication, food, and protection. So you might be wondering what type of budget we have. In the 1950s, when we first came together as an organization, our budget was $300,000. Last year, in 2012, our budget was $3.59 billion. So it's kind of crazy. You might be wondering, where does that amount of money come from? And most of the money that we receive is donated through government, foundations, and private donors. And it comes from all over the world. And the majority of it, even though government is in it, the majority does come from voluntary contributions. And then we are a UN organization, so you might be wondering, how much money does the UN actually give us? The UN only gives us 3% of their budget that they have every year. That's not a lot of money. So what we use the 3% for is to cover administration costs and airfare costs for getting our aid relief workers all around the country. So then, like I said, we work with refugees who are displaced individuals from all around the world, different countries. And what is a refugee? It's the displaced individuals. So we want to give you some numbers. There's over 43 million uprooted individuals all around the world. 14.7 of those are internally displaced. So what this means is that they are still in their home country, but they technically don't live at home. They had to move away from their home because of fear of persecution and punishment. there are 10.5 million classified refugees. And a shocking statistic is that 46% of those 10.5 million are actually children. So then there is 3.1 million returnees. And what a returnee is it's an individual who was a refugee or just who was internally displaced that have actually been able to come back home. And we work with them to rebuild their lives, get them started again in their home. And then there's 837,000 asylum seekers. And what an asylum seeker is that they are living in a different country, and that country is offering them protection. And the difference between an asylum seeker and a refugee is that asylum seekers say that they are a refugee, but their claim has not been definitively evaluated by UNHCR. And then there are 1.3 million individuals that we classify as other concerns. So then right here we have a picture of refugees with a quote from the 1951 Convention on Refugees. And it says, I can't even read it this far back. A refugee is someone who, owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a political or social group, is outside the country of his or her nationality and is unable to, or owing to such fear, is unwilling to avail himself to the protection of that country. So now I want to hand the presentation off to my colleague, Meghan Mathias.
Thank you, Cody. So as Cody explained, he talked about who UNHCR is as a company, and now I am going to speak about what we do as a company. So our two areas of focus is Ethiopia, which is located in Africa, and Cambodia, which is near Vietnam. UNHCR has 5 primary goals that they have for a company. The first one is protection. And protection just means that they want to protect the millions of uprooted or stateless people in UNHCR's core mandate. They just want to provide a safe haven for all the refugees that exist in these countries. The second is assistance, and this includes life-saving aid to help with shelter, health, water, education, etc. The third is emergency response. This has to do with natural disasters or when war breaks out. So it deals with the eruption of fighting, earthquake, displacement, terrorism. This is basically disaster response. So when this type of event occurs, UNHCR we will bring in first aid, food, and supplies to help the people of these countries. The fourth is environment, and this just means that we're dealing with minimizing the environmental impact that we have of our refugee operations. And the last goal that we have is durable solutions. This just means our primary purpose is to safeguard the rights and well-being of the refugees. Our ultimate goal of UNHCR is to help find durable solutions that can allow the refugees to rebuild their lives with dignity and peace. And just to give you a few numbers, our staff has 7,685 individuals in over 125 countries around the world. And now I'm going to show you a quick clip of what our company does.
So we can just skip over that.
Okay.
Since they can't see the screen anyway.
Yeah, it's true. So I'm going to talk about the first country that our employees CLB went over to help, and that's in Ethiopia, which, as I said, is located in Africa. Ethiopia has a strong political history. They have 15,000 tribes of people, and these people fled to western Ethiopia from southern Sudan to escape clashes that they were having with tribes. They're sitting in a town of Matal, and this is where our company has actually set up a reception center. There's actually 87,585 refugees to date in Ethiopia. And the second country that we're also helping is Cambodia. This is located in Southeast Asia. It's bordered by Thailand and Vietnam. There are 15,205 refugees in Cambodia. In Cambodia, what we're doing is technical and capacity, which we're building support in this country to help the refugees. And now I'm going to be giving you over to Noelia.
Hello. I'm going to tell you a bit about Sarah Buford. Sarah Buford is an American socialite living in England. She is married to Henry Buford and works at an art gallery. She attends a gala for World Hunger that is sponsored by her father-in-law, and it is there where she witnesses Nick Callahan's emotional plea for help. Nick brings in a child named Jojo from Ethiopia for shock value to gala and all the other cultures around. The attendees at gala are so ethnocentric that they believe their culture is superior enough to make joke of Jojo, and they throw a banana on stage, expecting him to imitate a monkey. This is where Nick says that there are 300 calories in a banana, more than the child would see in a day. After witnessing this emotional plea, Sarah decides she needs help. She empties her bank account and asks her husband for more money. He has a completely different attitude toward the situation and just wants to send money over to help and not be involved at all. Sarah decides to go to Ethiopia in 1984. She buys supplies and goes to deliver supplies, and this is where she first experiences her culture shock. Sarah is a witness to my tribe versus her tribe. Her very first encounter with a woman was when she was driving a supply truck. The woman asked if she had ever been married, and she said that no one in her tribe wants a woman over 18. Sarah responds that in my tribe it's 30. This displays a culture shock where the learned patterns of perceptions are different. Another example comes with chicken soup. Nick asks Sarah what she does when she gets a cold. She says that she takes the aspirin and drinks chicken noodle soup. He replies in agreement that we do numb it, we take something and we try anything we can to kill it. But here in Africa, they feel everything. They have no choice, and we have no idea what courage is. Another example of culture shock came with supplies. The supplies she brought over would only last 3 or 4 days, to Sarah's surprise. She thought they would last a lot longer. And in persistence, Sarah found herself persisting hard to get Nick to save the life of a child and mother. But Nick tries to disregard her plea because he thought it was too late. She convinces him to treat the child, and the child ends up living. Sarah witnesses very different perceived difficulties. She feels discouraged because she thought she could do more to help, but then realizes that this is the best she can do while in Ethiopia, and that any help is better than no help at all. While there, she meets 2 people. Nick Callahan, he is a doctor, and it's his mission to help anybody at any cost. Sarah first meets him in Ethiopia in 1984 after witnessing his emotional plea. Callahan travels from country to country for aid relief in third world countries. In 1989, she finds that he's in Cambodia. Sarah also meets Elliot, who was Nick's partner and less dramatic. He was a translator who was a Buddhist. In a moment of relief, Sarah wants to hug Elliot, and she asks, "Do Buddhists hug?" And he replies, "Sure, I hug. I'm American." And here's Anna.
So now we are coming to Sarah's situation in Cambodia. So after her experience in Ethiopia, Sarah returns to England and becomes an employee of the organization UNHCR. During a normal workday, Sarah received a phone call from Elliot, and that's how all of her problems and entire conflict begin. So it's basically Sarah versus herself. This is where she creates a new identity, bringing for herself, and decides being a wealthy wife wasn't enough of a responsibility to the world, and she decides she needs to do something to help. After wincing Nick's plea at the gala, she has to decide what she wants to do with her life and also convince her husband. Next one is Sarah in Ethiopia. So when Sarah first arrives in Ethiopia, she is startled by what she sees and immediately yells to stop to the truck. She gets out and runs to a little boy and scares the vultures off of him. She then the boy's mothers and tries to communicate to her that she is there to help. After this, she climbed up a cliff trying to deal with her emotions, and then Ethiopian rebels came shooting. This was her first conflict in Ethiopia. Next one is Sarah versus Nick. While in Ethiopia, Sarah experienced conflict with Nick when she begs him to save the boy and his mother's lives. He thought that it was too late, but she instead and the boy managed to live. So that was her win. And next one we have Sarah in Cambodia. Sarah agreed to help Elliot and Nick bring medicine and supplies to Cambodia, unbeknownst to her, to get supplies through borders. Nick had to smuggle in guns, which was something that she did not agree with at all. When she found out, she yelled, kicked and spit at Nick because she was so disgusted with the thought of what he did. While in Cambodia, the rebels attacked the refuge camp. They inflicted violence upon villages and UNHRC workers. So next slide show us relationships, Sarah relationships. So the first one is Sarah and her husband Henry. So Sarah has a somewhat strained relationship with her husband Henry. When she decides to empty her bank account to give the money to relief work and visit the countries, he tells her to just send the money and be done with it. But she doesn't really agree with him. And next is Sarah and Nick. So during her time with Nick in Ethiopia and Cambodia, Sarah and Nick start to develop romantic feelings for one another. After each mission, Sarah always goes home to England, but always think about Nick and where he is, what is he doing. Third one is Sarah and Elliot. So they develop a friendship early on. This due in part of the fact that he was much more friendly and less dramatic than Nick. And Sarah and her sister Charlotte. So Sarah's sister Charlotte, she's a journalist who is always there for Sarah. Sarah enlists Charlotte's help to find Nick after he's taken hostage in Chanchia. And now Newton gonna talk.
Angelina Jolie as Sarah. I think you gonna do it for me?
Oh no, you do it. Yeah. Oh, this one.
Angelina Jolie as Sarah. She had an ability to really connect to the character. She really embraced the role, and I feel as though she definitely acted as if, well, she does have a passion for this kind of stuff in her real life. So we definitely think that it was reflected through the character, and also her choosing this kind of role would be a reflection on her values as an individual. Clive Owen, definitely a passionate role he played in the movie. He as well connected to his role. I thought that the opening main moment that he had in the court, I guess a courtroom with definitely some high class people. It was a very emotional part at the beginning of the movie with them. I'm kind of not connecting as he did to the struggle that he saw in around the world for different poor people, and them kind of just making fun of his efforts to bring relief and support to them. Definitely he got people engaged from the very onset of the movie. I think some parts that were good about the movie. It was definitely good It was definitely a high quality movie. It wasn't too long, and it got a bunch of educational stuff out there in just an hour and 27 minutes. Thailand, Cambodia, just being able to actually witness some things from actual cultures. We thought it was a good element educationally to the movie, and also we thought sensitized us as the audience to what was actually happening instead of just kind of hearing about stuff or reading about stuff. We were actually able to see some images that were, they reflected real life in these places. We have a quote that says, "The film was dedicated to all relief workers and the millions of people who are victims of war and persecution. They continue to inspire us with their courage to survive." Definitely, as mentioned, the movie definitely was serving a purpose. It was definitely an effort to bring an understanding and kind of enthusiasm to enthuse people about helping out. Just to not just worry about yourself as an individual, but to kind of think about what's going on with others, the struggles of others, the persecution of others, kind of like the core values, that we deal with here at St. Leo. Individually, we thought we had different reflections on what we saw in the movie. Some I guess subtopics that we were able to derive from what we saw included different ways our mentalities have changed because of what we saw. Definitely, the story did have a moral. Whether or not the actors were believable in their role, how the plot was put together in the movie, and our educational experience most of all. We did think it was pretty cool that most of the movie was in English in that, but then you did have one or two little snippets in there where you had other languages. So individually, I guess we can say that we experienced certain things, and our thoughts and reactions.
And then we all come up here and give our reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could cut that, or
But no, it stays up there. So my reaction to the movie, I would have watched it even if it wasn't for a project, just because I really like Angelina Jolie, and I hope that I can marry her in the future. But the movie really sheds light on the struggles that people face all around the world, and that we take for granted how lucky we are to live where we live and have the things that we have in our lives. So it really sheds light on the struggles that people have all over the world and how they have to just fight for survival in their lives.
My reaction was I thought the movie that was good. Cody was the one who told me about this movie because I've never heard of it before, and so I went and watched it, and actually I really liked it. I would have liked watching it even if I didn't have to for this assignment. But I really thought the movie did a good job in explaining the different issues that are out there, and the fact that that we can help, and even if it's small, it doesn't matter as long as we use our voice to help those who need. Noelia.
I really like watching the movie too. I was glad I got my eyes open to it. I enjoyed how they compared both like the American life and then going back to Cambodia. They did that a lot in the movie, and you got to see how one country is obviously very different, with people not eating and wearing less clothes and facing danger and guns every day, to America where it was like the happy home and everything was perfect. So I really enjoyed that, and it was a good movie.
I agree with everybody. I think movie was really interesting and kind of opened my eyes for world's problems. And I'm glad Cody give that idea to us to watch that movie, because I have never heard about that either. And I think it was pretty romantic, and I really like it.
I think one fact proves how necessary the movie was to be shot and to be something publicly seen by a lot of people was the fact that, you know, it got some bad reviews. People talking about, you know, they were definitely jumping on some things with romance and wanting to see more chemistry in that kind of direction between both actors, both stars in the movie. But I think it shows, that kind of stuff just shows that, you know, this is something that we do need, because even the kind of struggle that you do see in the movie, and for people to still be kind of just nitpicking at certain things that you know, that are kind of irrelevant, when you see people going through this kind of persecution and stuff, you can't help but to feel for them, even though it's just a movie. So I think the movie is just relevant. I thought the actors did a good job, and I just thought it was a good experience having seen it.
So then, like we said before, we don't work for the organization, but that's how we presented it. The movie focuses on the organization UNHCR, which stands for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
The main focus is to help refugees, and the two areas of focus was Ethiopia and Cambodia.
And then, of course, it focused on our employee, Sarah Beauford. Does anybody want to take this?
It focused about her conflict, like her life conflicts with her family, and if she should go for it or she shouldn't.
And it showed many relationships between her and her husband, and then her and all the people from Gala, and her and Nick.
What does it say?
Film.
Just overall, it was a high quality. It was just a high quality movie. It didn't do as well as a lot of people thought it would, but it was just an awesome movie in our opinion. We loved it, and you know, I would have loved to watch it, even if it wasn't like as mentioned, for a project. So
that is
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.